Welcome to Schooling Around. Around Oxford, you hear the words International Baccalaureate quite often. International Baccalaureate was founded in 1968. It has been associated with Oxford schools for a few years now. Today we take a look at IB in Oxford, where it's been, where we're at, and where it's going. Stay tuned.
Whether your family is interested in hunting or target shooting, or even if your family doesn't participate in these activities, having a family conversation about firearms safety is the right thing to do. Join me for a straightforward discussion of what to say, how to say it, and how to talk with both young and older kids about this important topic. It will be time well spent.
A small town with a lot of heart and history. A hidden gem with a sense of community. Welcome to Leonard.
IB is a work in motion, especially around the Oxford School District. International Baccalaureate has 3 phases: the primary year program, or PYP, for the younger kids, the middle year program, or MYP, for the middle school and early high school kids, and the diploma program for high school juniors and seniors. Every few days, the district's International Baccalaureate coordinators meet in the administration office to compare notes and make sure things are still going strong and out there on the same page. That's where we caught up with them for this program. Molly Darnell handles the middle year program. The primary year program is covered by Christine Vince, Rita Flynn, and Stephanie Nemi. Jason Eldridge handles the high school diploma program. We thought we'd get reminded and caught up. Seems appropriate that we start where it all begins, the primary year program, or PYP, and the importance of this program.
I think it's extremely important, as Ken said earlier, we have standards that we have, students have to meet standards for their education, but I think having the IB program takes them beyond those standards. So it requires them to develop as deep thinkers, collaborators, to think about, empowers them to see themselves as lifelong learners so that they take responsibility for their learning and their growth. And I think that's the strength of it.
I agree. I also try to think of what makes us different than a school that would be non-IB, and we ask our students the problem they want to solve, not just what they want to be when they grow up. And I feel that really speaks volumes to what we expect of our students. We expect them to be problem solvers and to think about what difference they can make in the world. But first, we really try to have them identify with who they are as a person, and setting up that growth mindset of how they can grow as an individual academically and personally. And once they have that foundation, they really look at the world differently and think about how they can make the world a better place.
Do you find that it's tough to get little kids to get their mind around some of this stuff?
You know, we have exceptional teachers, and they really scaffold it at many different levels. And I really am able to see the difference working in a K2 building and then working at a 3-5 building. You would think that they're very different in the sense of how they're digesting the material, but I could say a kindergartner really understands what it means to be a kind person and the importance of learning just as much as a 5th grader does, because of our teachers. And our job and our role is to support our teachers and the students and work with the administrators to make sure that we help them with that scaffolding process.
Yeah, anybody else want to chime in on that? Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that the backbone to IB, the primaries program, it's rooted in concept-based and inquiry-based teaching. So it's taking that learner where he or she is at and building upon that learning. So it doesn't matter if you're 21 or 5, that we're going to take you from wherever your level of understanding is, and our goal is to help you move yourself forward. So age it's not become a problem.
Now, before you know it, we're going to be getting into project season, aren't we? Where you're going to have the
Exhibition.
fifth grade exhibition.
Really encourage you to come.
Yeah,
So,
we'll be there.
yeah, so when is your dates for exhibition?
Leonard's exhibition is in May, the beginning of May. I don't remember, I want to say May 3rd. And Lakeville's exhibition is, we're holding it off until June 7th. So, but we are beginning actually the process today.
Yeah, is there any difference, are they making any changes to that this year, or IB?
Well, Clear Lake might change their format. They typically have always taught the exhibition unit and then had the actual exhibition like as the culmination of that unit. I'm meeting with 5th grade actually next week to discuss that. We might be looking at teaching the exhibition unit earlier in the year and then actually holding the celebration and the exhibition portion later, probably in June. So we have to discuss that, but it could change a little bit.
Go ahead.
Ours is May 3rd as well. I really want to just encourage everyone to come because I really, not only is it a celebration of our students' learning, it really gives, I feel like our community a real sense of what we're all about, and to see our students be passionate about something that's a global issue is just really moving. So I think it's really valuable to come, and I think that every exhibition changes depending on the group and depending on the group of teachers, and because we're constantly evolving and reflecting on our learning, reflection is a huge piece of being a part of an IB school, that as we reflect, we make decisions based on how it's going to look in the future of what should we keep, what should we change, how can we continue to make it better.
To keep the designation, evaluations have to take place by members of the IB organization. They happen every 5 years.
So we all are going through the self-study process currently. OES just had their review in a year ago in January, and now all of our schools are going through that process, and we have been working together in how we can gather information to really reflect and assess our buildings in all different aspects. So the self-study is an evaluation of our building to be reauthorized, but I really believe, as well as all of us do, that it's really a celebration of where we've come, and it's our time to really highlight all the great things that we've done within our buildings, and just share with our community the strength that we have in IB.
Some of the biggest changes are taking place in the middle year program. More in a moment.
Canine Stray Rescue is Oxford's own local dog rescue. Each year they take in hundreds of dogs and bring them into suitable homes. A certified nonprofit organization, Canine Dog Rescue strives to give pound dogs a new leash on life. To donate, adopt, or even volunteer, call them at 248-628-0435 or go to their website, dogsaver.org, and click on the Canine Stray Rescue League link.
The culmination of the middle year program highlights something called the Personal Project. A few of our early high schoolers did it for the first time last year. They're hoping to expand. You guys had a big change last year because you got kids involved in the Personal Project.
We did, and with the change to our start day on Wednesday, we are still continuing running in the same format. So our students show up on Wednesday mornings before classes really begin. Currently, that was where they were reporting when we actually had that school time happening, but now they're reporting on their own. So we have a smaller pool size that we're working with this year. What we are very excited about for next year is the opportunity to implement it as a semester-long class for students in their sophomore year of the program. This year, to mimic kind of what Rita said, it is ever-changing as we have different mentors and as we have different students. And we're getting a little bit better every time we do it as well. So this year's Showcase Night will be April 19th. in the high school. It's either the Performing Arts Center or the Media Center. I can't remember off the top of my head.
So roughly how many kids do you expect to be involved in that?
This year we only have about 11 kids doing it. So obviously we're hoping to grow that number. It's an opportunity that's given to all of our sophomores, which we know is like well over 300 students. But when it's completely on their own time, when it's outside of the school day, and we have students who are busy with jobs and extracurricular activities and athletics, it makes it difficult to honor that time.
Yeah.
So that's why I think embedding it into the school day as a semester-long class is.
So when you make the change and make it a class, we're talking about maybe how many kids being involved?
Well, we're looking at running 2 classes next year, so that would be probably a maximum of 70 kids. I don't suspect that we will get much beyond that, although I really don't know. It really depends upon scheduling. Scheduling starts in the next 2 weeks, I believe. So we'll kind of see from there. That curriculum, of course, will have to go in front of our board this spring as well, so that's something that I'm working on as well.
Yeah, it's a big change from 10 or 11. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, what do you think IB is important to kids of this age group?
So, kind of mimicking what Christine had spoke about in terms of that opportunity to become an inquisitive thinker or a deeper thinker and collaboration. We still build upon those learner profile skills in the middle years program, but it's done a little bit more embedded within the structure of the class. And so what I really see as the biggest benefit to the middle years program is that opportunity for an authentic, project-based, or kind of that real-world problem that's based in a context. So students see that value, or what, to mimic what Rita had said about what life looks like beyond for them. It's really, what are those opportunities that I might have, and kind of framing the subject material instead of just this is completing something for school. It's what might this look like in a career for me instead.
Now, Rita was talking about some reviews that have taken place and will take place from headquarters, as it will. Are you going to be subject to anything like that?
We are actually under review, both MYP and diploma program in fall of 2018. So we will be looking at our self-study next year, as early as this spring, but most likely as a whole school in the fall of next year, and then going through that process within the 2018 year.
I asked Molly Darnell why IB is important to this middle year age group.
I think it's an opportunity for students to grow in an area that sometimes is not valued in educational systems. So it's not just about meeting a standard, but it's about meeting a standard, or the opportunity to meet a standard and reflect upon why that learning was important to them as a self, and as a possibility for, where are my strengths and where are my weaknesses, and what can I build upon. I think sometimes we get really focused on making sure that we receive the highest marks, and it's not always about receiving the highest marks. Sometimes it's about taking a risk and seeing where I can succeed within that risk.
Jason Eldridge heads up the diploma program for juniors and seniors. He says it's been going through an evolution in the last couple of years.
Definitely a comfort has grown with our students. They're getting used to, every year that we've gone through the diploma program, kids have had one more year of experience through the PYP and the MYP. So that's really starting to show through. Students are very comfortable in those authentic activities. They're really comfortable in speaking and being passionate about things. That's definitely one thing I've noticed. Kids are willing to dive into things and invest in things of their own, interests, I guess. It's one of the biggest things I've seen in development. Kids are just comfortable.
No matter how good a program is, the fact of the matter is there's only 24 hours in a day, and you've got kids who are avids in various sports and music and stuff, and sometimes it's just hard to find time to be really involved in some of this. Are you seeing a growth in this program among the diploma kids, or?
Do you mean growth in numbers or growth in
numbers?
I wouldn't say the program is growing necessarily by number. I mean, as we've said before, it's difficult. It's a lot of time. It's a big commitment to Whereas the difference between the other programs is that the diploma program becomes a choice for the student, and it's a lot of work. They're being asked to take 7 high level classes. They're being asked to continue on in sports and activities and service activities outside the school day, and then they also have to write a fairly substantial research paper at the end of it. So when kids see that, it's a bit intimidating. So I wouldn't say that we're growing, but eventually, I think as kids start to see the benefits of what our kids who have gone through the program are seeing, I think that will start to catch some momentum.
Okay, how many kids are in the diploma program this year?
This year, between the juniors and seniors, I think we have around 25.
Around 25 kids, and how does that compare to last year? Is it about the same? Or?
We're a little bit lower, but we're on an uptick right now. So our senior class is fairly small right now. I think we have 9 kids in the senior class pursuing the full diploma. Now we have over probably 150 students taking individual classes.
Yeah.
But just the idea of to get the actual full diploma, there's a lot that goes into it.
What's the importance of the full diploma? What does that do for you?
Well, in terms of the full diploma, one of the big things, colleges, they love it. They kind of see it as, for the most part, the most rigorous program that any kid could go through in high school. For the most part, if a college is comparing a kid in Oxford High School, a kid who's gone through IB and a kid who hasn't, they know more about what that kid who's gone through the full IB program, the full diploma program, they know what they've done. They know what they've had to do just to be in that standing. So it really kind of helps to set those kids apart in the eyes of colleges, and outside of just colleges, it gives them better preparation. It gives them more opportunity to do authentic things, to write large papers about something of completely their interest.
We have to remember, though, I think that the IB program is a worldwide program. It's not just the United States or Michigan or Oxford. So that adds importance to that diploma because it is recognized worldwide, is it not?
Yeah, it's definitely a worldwide diploma. You could, go across the sea and try to present your Oxford High School diploma, and nobody will know what that is.
I mean, there are kids in other countries who are involved with
Oh yeah, but you take an IB diploma anywhere in the world, and they will know what that is.
All of these teachers have been around before and after the introduction of IB here in Oxford. I asked them about then versus now.
I would chime in because my background is in special ed. So when I first came into Oxford, that's what I was doing. I was in a resource room setting, and as we went through the process of learning about IB, I saw a change with kids in that group. I think it gave them the opportunity to really come back into classrooms and be a part of classrooms in a different way that maybe they were before. It allowed them to be to have access to the curriculum in a way that maybe they were able to understand it and make it their own, because the way that IB assesses at the end through the summatives really gives kids a lot of different choices to be able to show their knowledge and how they're knowledgeable in a concept. And so for that population of kids, it was powerful to be able to have some different choices instead of just doing paper pencil. I think because of the learner profile, it gave those kids confidence because they saw that it wasn't just being the smartest in the class, that there are different strengths and that we honor those different ways of being a learner, and that through inquiry it really is about taking risks and pushing yourselves in different areas. And so I would just say, as a former special ed teacher, that was the biggest change I saw, especially for that group.
You know, I never even thought about that. The IB affects special ed. Mm-hmm. Wow.
So, yeah, because it.
And obviously you think that's a good thing, so.
Yeah, I thought it was a great thing. That was really what fueled my passion coming into IB, because I saw that great change in kids as a teacher.
Right.
And so it just really pushed me to learn more about IB, to continue teaching in that way, because I saw that the way I was teaching before was not that I was trying to do a bad way of teaching, but just IB was just a different way, and it really just, I thought, captured that group of kids and helped them.
Okay. All right, Molly, I'm going to put you on the spot.
I would, say personally for Oxford, so I could speak to as well as what IB does globally for all schools, but I think for Oxford what it did was it gave us a bit of a direction rather than, gave us a philosophy to surround rather than having teachers having individual personal philosophies or having the high school and the middle school maybe having a different directional sense. It really solidified us in terms of a direction and what we value in education. And it gave us resources and information to fall back upon in order to help us get to that direction. The other thing that I think for all of our students, K-12, is an understanding of those affective skills. And so where I really see it the most personally, and of course I work most often with personal project kids, but is in terms of that, how do I manage my time? How do I manage myself? My feelings, my emotions when it comes to being under stress. And I know that when Jason had his students come back who have completed the diploma program and speak, that was a large thing that they talked about, that watching their peers in a university experience, they have a calm to them and kind of a, they know how to get through this, whereas some of those kids are fumbling with those stressors for the first time.
Did it take you a while to wrap your arms around the program when it first came out?
No. As a matter of fact, the first conference that I went off to, I was reading, there's a handbook that goes with each subject area in the middle years program, and I was reading through it, and when I read the aims of what the language and literature, being a former ELA teacher, what the aims of that subject area was to do, it really, instantly I was like, these are all things that I philosophically believe in that are good for students. And then it instantly caused me to reflect upon my own practice and say, well, gee, am I doing those things that I believe that are good for kids? And it was pretty instantaneous that I realized I wasn't always doing things that was in the best interest of students at all points, and the direction of what we know education is heading as we do more research upon the brain. So
that structure was good
that
for you.
structure was absolutely, and it solidified, like, here's a philosophy, here's the aims of that philosophy, and here's how we get there. It was pretty, if you follow that philosophy and the measures, it makes sense.
Okay, very good. Let's move over to the girl next door here.
I would say all these things. I think, to me, I see a shift in the whole school and a shift in our students. So as a fourth grade teacher previously, oftentimes students were like, the passive recipients of information. What we've done with our IB programs is to make them the engaged participants of a learning community. And that's not, IB makes a statement in their mission statement that we are learners. It's not students and teachers, and we're all learners. And I think that's what it really has, that's a great shift for us. So before it was, I'm a teacher in my classroom and I have to do this, closing my door, isolated. It's no, now we're part of a learning community. Teachers collaborating together, teachers collaborating with parents and students collaborating together, actively taking control of their learning, and it's been invigorating.
Did you like that at the beginning?
I loved it at the beginning because I've always wanted that, but like Molly said, this gave us the tools, the framework, and the resources to make it happen.
Okay, now I know Rita just loves it.
I do. I'm very passionate about it, but it's really nice to hear my friends reflect, because I agree with all of them, but I couldn't have put it as eloquently in that sense. And I feel as though, thinking back, this is my fourth year and as a coordinator, and I taught kindergarten first and second prior to that for 8 years, and I still feel like I have so much growth. And I was just actually talking about that with one of my administrators, and I just said, gosh, how long did the former coordinator do this job? Am I ever going to get there? And he said, well, that's a part of why you love it. And I feel that our students have that sense of growth mindset as well because of IB. And I remember looking through making the PYP happen when someone brought it to my attention that the opportunity for the IB coordinator job was opening, and they said, you know, Rita, this is right up your alley. And I remember thinking, I don't know if I'm smart enough because it was so rigorous. And when I really started reading the material, I felt like this is the kind of person I want to be. This is the kind of individual I want to be, not just in the classroom, but outside the classroom. So that's where I just immediately felt like I was sold.
I just like the philosophy of everyone being the learner. I like that it released me as a teacher from having to be kind of this know-it-all person in the front of kids, and it allowed the kids to take that, you know, that approach and that responsibility of being in charge of their learning, and so that became powerful. Now as like a mom, I think too, like that's the kind of person I want my kids to be. And so I just feel so fortunate that we have the program at all levels here, because it excites me that my kids will have those opportunities.
We've now become these facilitators of, you know, not all the time, of course, but facilitators of letting kids lead their own learning. Specifically within science, you know, my diploma program kids have to take whatever physical phenomena they want to look at and design a lab from start to finish, and really do a college level experiment where I'm really just facilitating through the process. You know, I'll give them tips and tricks along the way, but they are in charge. And the topics range, you know, always to a kid's interest, but they're always just all over the board. So it's really nice to be able to, it gives us something different every year, and just it's cool seeing what the kids are able to come up with on their own.
Okay, we pretty much know how the kids and teachers feel about all this. But what about the parents? We'll check that out next.
Do you love local sports? Whether it's Oxford High School or Parks and Rec, you can buy copies of each game. To purchase your copy, call us at 248-628-9658 or give us an email at manager@occtb.org or talk to us at the next game. Hopefully we'll see you there.
What all this has led up to is kids looking at learning and the world in a bit of a different way. So how did Mom and Dad get their arms around this?
I think there's been moments where absolutely, I mean, when you're making an entire shift in your district, I think there have been moments where parents have questioned, what are we doing? And some of that is our learning curve as coordinators or as administrators or as teachers. And so while I think we run the line of saying we have to always do what's in the best interest of students, sometimes when we're working through something the first time, it's muddy for us. And so that's where I think parents start to question, is like, well, wait a second, you're not being incredibly clear here. My child's a little bit confused. That leaves me with some concern. And that's valid, but that's going to happen with any change that we go through. So we have seen some resistance in that pocket. And then, you know, I'm sure that there's different philosophies that we have. You know, a couple of us mentioned these are things that we want for our kids or our own kids. But everybody has different beliefs about what they want for their kids. So there's always going to be different sides of views. And it is about being open-minded to those points of views. I mean, that's a little bit of what the IB program embraces. So.
Anybody else want to chime in?
Well, I think too, we, even ourselves, learned so differently in school that sometimes it's that fear of the unknown, that you might want this for your child, you might see how it's a valuable thing, but we don't know what that thing is. And as we are learning it, you're sort of putting more trust upon the educators, and that can be a fearful thing. I know as a mom, it's hard to trust someone else with your child and to hope that it all works out.
The goal of International Baccalaureate is to develop inquiring, knowledgeable, and caring young people who help to create a better and more peaceful world through intercultural understanding and respect. Sounds like a plan. Thanks to Kyle Snage at the controls, Dan Zweiss at the editing desk, and you for watching. This is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.